This is day 5 of journaling my trades until I'm profitable. Um, Straight away getting into the technical analysis. What do I notice? Well, we're still holding that SMT at the bottom. Um, we Yesterday we swept the high and we dumped, taking the news and London and Asia, everything below. And now it looks like we're bullish again. So I anticipate most likely today that we're going to close above this order block. Now, one thing I do want to point out is all of these sweeps. 1, 2, 3. Over on ES, it's the same 1, 2, 3. These are protected. They're very protective. Another thing I want to point out, this is very algorithmic and it's making me feel like we definitely will come up, is this is an order block right here. It's the last down candle in an uptrend. We don't know that yet, but this is definitely signifying that it's true. Look, we barely tapped into this order block and we rejected so hard from it. So this is a very bullish signal. We swept the high, we dumped, we tapped this order block and we rejected hard, and now we're extremely bullish. So I'll be bullish for today and I'll anticipate that we close over this candle here, and preferably we close over this volume imbalance here. One thing to point out, this hourly move here, all of this is quite low resistance. In terms of delivery, when we get that market open manipulation, it's going to be quite tricky to know where we're going to come up from, because we want like a good area that's protected, like a good gap or something, and there's no gaps in this region. So it does make it quite difficult for me to gauge, if we're going to go down lower, what's the lowest we'll go down. So we have an SMT here as well. We swept here on NQ. We didn't sweep here on ES. We have nice delivery on ES here. So maybe we could put in another SMT at market open. Maybe we can respect this 15-minute on market open and we can dump and deliver out of this, putting in a bullish SMT on ES, and we can target the points higher. Another thing I noticed on the 15-minute right now is we have this extremely bullish 15-minute and we have no fair value gaps left on NQ. But if we look over here on ES, we draw a line out from what we are potentially rejecting from, and we go across. We're right inside this gap right here. So ideally we want to finish above this point to target the other highs. That being said, we do have news here that I just noticed after my technical analysis, which could lead me to being wrong again. So got to keep this in mind. I don't want to be making the same mistake twice, but we do have these points which are long wicks and they have not swept anything. So there's a lot of liquidity resting underneath these points here. And look at ES here, there's been no sweeps. This is a really unprotected area on ES especially. I think today is a tricky one. Bias is again bullish, but we do have strong draws below. So this is market open. I forgot to get the start of it, but basically we just dumped straight for the news low, put in a protected low, and then we started pumping. Now the long here didn't seem too bad until you look at ES and then you see how far up in the range we are. We're almost going to put in that SMT. So didn't like the idea. Did like this little idea though, how we kind of mitigated the protected lows wick, and then we came up from that and put in a 2-minute order block, and then we did come up. You'll see me talk about that, but yeah, let's market open and then we dump. Okay, so here's what I actually think. I think we're going to pump right now. Yeah, which we are. Put in this protected low, came up, put in an order block. This candle could not finish above. I think we're going to go and take the highs up here. We'll see how we react out of this 2-minute, but oh look, that's a big rejection out of that 2-minute actually. But that was a good call there. I did think that was going to pump up. Wow, and look at this. Okay, we inversed on the 1-minute on ES. We couldn't do it the first time, and when we inversed it on the second go, we go up. This 5-minute, I was interested in it, but this low is protected. It is something that I could see potentially working though, because we did sweep and put in an SMT on ES. So if we do get a close below here, I'm going to just watch it. Yeah, that's just running. That's just running. We've got I've marked out all of this trend line here. So the trend line kind of stops around this 5 minute mark here. It's funny delivery. It's really small. It's a 5 minute BPR, but I wonder if we can just take all of this and bounce off of this. This is really like, it seems insignificant, but it's one of those sneaky gaps. Yeah, kind of kicking myself here because as you can see, we just absolutely dump. We just keep dumping. We dump 500 points this session. I assume some experienced traders might have even chased this down, expecting us to put in a 5 minute order block with the SMT, and respecting the 2 minute above with all those draws below as well. So yeah, again, I got my draws wrong. So here's where I take my first trade, and the trade idea is that we cleared out all of that trend line. And if you heard me earlier, I mentioned a sneaky 5 minute BPR fair value gap that's there at the end of the trend line, and I just expect us to bounce off that. And once I start seeing bullish delivery, and the fact that we keep bouncing off it, we bounce off it multiple times on like the 5 minute time frame. We put in a inversion fair value gap, and then later on in the session we put in an inversion with a CISD as well, which is higher probability, but the price action was just not with us, and we were just so bearish. Like, there was draws below that were way further down that wanted to get hit this session, and that's the game of probabilities, I guess. So I lost out on my first trade, and we'll get into the second trade later.
Order filled.
So yeah, that's just the risk of fading the trend. You know, I really thought that the bias was bullish on the higher time frame. Now that I'm thinking it, if we're dumping this far, we're probably just like putting in a bearish order block, and we're looking a lot more bearish on the higher time frame. But I didn't recheck the higher time frames. But regardless, I thought we were going to come up from here. I thought we swept a lot of sell side liquidity. I thought we had a somewhat good delivery. I actually faded a 2 minute short on that. That worked out perfectly for some people, because the 2 minute inverse bearish, and then it came up on the next minute bullish, and then I got in long. But if you stayed in bearish on the 2 minute inverse, we just dump on that one. So yeah, that was a loss. And then the second trade, it's just the same attempt again, but it was just a resweep of the lows this time, and we come up and we put in kind of more confirmation that we want to come up, a CISD and the inversion. But this one is just a break-even trade, and we just end up chopping around for ages, and it's just annoying. At that point I was like, okay, once I seen the chop, so I'm finished. That was the end of the session. That's break even for me.
Stop.
Wow, fuck this PA. I'm finished. I'm finished for today. Yeah, and as you can see, we just dumped for the whole rest of the session. 500 points, possibly even more now. Looking for draws below. But anyway, yeah, that was my day. Ended it on a small loss. It's alright. We'll come back again tomorrow stronger. And yeah, on to the next. Just a game of probabilities. And today we came out bad. But it's, you know, again, good that I got off when I did, because I would have been over trading and stuff like that. And come back to the charts now to see, you know, there was nothing there to offer. So yeah, good with psychology, and just a loss is normal in trading. So on to the next.